Hello everyone. In today's chess video, I'm gonna show you a crazy and insane queen sacrifice by world champion Magnus Carlsen and one of the top grandmasters Anish Giri. So this is a game from one of the ongoing tournaments, Meltwater Chess Tour, something like that, and it is a very exciting game between these two players. So Anish Giri is with the white pieces and Mr. Carlsen is with the black pieces. So let's start. E4, and we have the c5, the Sicilian defense, and then Anish Giri plays knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to b5. After this, we have e6 here and castles. Pretty good so far. And then knight to e7 and d4, breaking through the center. So you have takes and we have takes. And now Magnus plays going to b6, attacking the knight twice. And after bishop to e3, what Magnus does is a shocker. He takes this knight on d4. Now, in many positions, like if you take this knight, for example, this is lost because after, like if you take this knight, this and just Magnus is up a piece here. So you can't play this. But after a4, it gets a little trickier because now this is protected, and if you play move like e5, we can play c3, and the knight can't move because this is open. So well, what Magnus does is, so first Anish Giri plays a4, and Magnus, instead of doing nothing, plays knight captures b5. He sacrifices his queen. As you can see, this queen was pinned to the this knight was pinned to the queen. Sorry, and after this, the queen is hanging. But after Anish Giri takes and Magnus takes, the material is equal. How? Because Magnus won three pieces worth 3 points. So you won two bishops and a knight for a queen, which is all 3 points. So see, first Magnus won this, then Magnus won this, and then Magnus won this. Now you might be wondering, why can't this knight be taken? Because if you take this, hello, so you can't take this because of this. The rook takes on a1. So Anish Giri plays knight to d2, obviously a good move, developing a piece, and Magnus backs up with knight to d6. After e5, Magnus plays knight to f5. Now this knight is brilliant here. Attacking, not actually attacking, but it's good enough, and after something like knight to e4, even this is not a bad move, Magnus plays knight to c6, consolidating both the knights and getting a really good position. Now Anish Giri starts up an attack and goes wild on the king side, insane, completely, sorry. And after g4, Magnus, instead of going back, comes forward with this plan. So knight to h4, and obviously if you have played something like g4, you have to play f4 and h4 eventually. So f4, gaining more space. And then after something like h5, Magnus wants to burst open the position through this king side and, get these lines open so he can attack the king. So after h3 is now not a good move because this and then this and this file is open for the king, and there will be some attack going on. But Magnus takes and Anish Giri takes back. So now we have d5. But if you all know the secret rule of chess, the en passant, so you can take this pawn. But Magnus doesn't care, and after Anish Giri takes it, you have rook to a5. This is like a crazy move. You know why? Because this rook to a5, like you can't even guess it in about, if I give you around 10 to 15 guesses. So this is a crazy move. And what this move does is, he wants to come here and get this pawn, and the rook will be very active. And after something like, even try to come here after this pawn is not there or something like this. He has some ideas on coming any of this files. Yeah. So after c4, Anish Giri doesn't want him to come here, and he's gaining more space. And after f5, it looks like that whoever gets his pawn first to the central ranks will win. It looks like that because Magnus and Anish Giri are throwing their pawns like this. So we have v4. As I told you, they're just throwing the pawns out. And then after knight captures b4, you might be thinking, why? What is this? Actually, if Anish Giri is down, like he's not down. Actually, the material is equal. But Anish Giri wants to burst open the position and try to attack this king because it has not castled. So Anish Giri goes all in. He's like, I'm all in. and plays d7 check as well to open these lines for the queen and the rooks to attack this lonely king. So you have to take. That's what happens in the game. Now Magnus is a pawn up, but still Anish Giri has some chances. So let's see what happens. Anish Giri plays knight to d6 check, and we have bishop captures, and we have queen captures d6. Pretty simple. But now you might be thinking, oh rook d1, oh rook to d1, and then we're just winning. Something like that. Magnus has a calm, slight move, knight to c6. This is a really good move because it's very defensive now. Now after rook to d1, bishop to c8, g5. He's closing in. Anish Giri is more closing in, and then after knight to g6, it is looking at what has happened. First, Magnus is throwing his pieces out, and now he's getting it back. Sooner, this knight will come here. The rook will come here. The knight will come back, and yeah. So we have rook to f2, trying to play something like rook to e2 or rook to d2. Depends on position, and we have king to f7. Now this is completely, done. I mean, the defense is very good from Magnus. So if you're a chess player, you have to become a good defensive and an attacking player. You just can't be, I'm an attacking player. Yes. As like a team cannot have only attackers like Ronaldo, Messi, and Neymar, and look, you take all in, and you have no defenders. So how are you gonna win like that? So okay, Anish Giri, queen c7 check, and we have knight to e7. Now Magnus's pieces are so coordinated, everything is defending each other. There's no piece hanging except this b6 pawn. It's a stupid pawn. And then rook to d8, takes, trading of pieces, and rook to e4. Now we have queen to c7, pressuring everything, but Magnus is like, who cares? Who cares basically? He wants to burst up this position and create a passed pawn like this. So that will be useful in the endgame. And now takes and bishop to e6, a good move. Just getting out of here, attacking this, getting the bishop into life, and everything is solid, And after takes. So now Magnus Carlsen is one pawn up, and this is probably winning for black. Why? Because all these things against only these two are just not enough. And even in that end game. So we have rook to e2, trying to pressure the whole, but hang on, we can just play rook to c6. The thing is, you can't take because this. So Anish Giri tries to pressure this file even more, but there's nothing now much left. Knight to g6, king to h2, bishop to c4. The bishop is getting into tempo. We have rook to b2, rook to e6, here. So now what Anish Giri has done is trying to activate his pieces, getting here, but there's no sort of breakthrough he can get. He tried his level best, but I don't think so there's anything. So king g1, rook g4, king s2. The thing is now Anish Giri is confused. Magnus has put him into a zugzwang. A zugzwang is basically every move you make, it makes your opponent, it makes a position worse. Basically, that is what you call it, zugzwang. So now see, Magnus is now completely winning here, and all this. Magnus is slowly improving his position, and finishing Anish Giri. And now comes this pawn, which threatens to become queen all the way. Let's see how. So after queen to d4. The thing is, the best thing about Magnus's position is everything on earth is defended. The rook is, no, except the rook, sorry. So everything is defended. You can't even pressurize something, you can't even attack something. Now, if Anish Giri can get, sacrifice his rook for two pieces like these, it'll be good for him because these two and the queen will be able to handle. And even if Anish Giri gets this rook and bishop for the queen, then also it can be a draw sort of. But let's see what happens. So rook g5, and it's pretty clean now. Rook d6, f3, here comes the pawn, and rook d7, rook f5, queen g4, bishop e6, attacking the rook comes back, but it's now over. And after all this is, and queen, to take, but actually Anish Giri resigns. He said, I had a lot of this now, I'm frustrated. A beautiful game by Magnus Carlsen. and as he won this tournament, the meltwater finals. So thank you so much for being here till the end. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell me in the comments which video do you want next. Bye bye.